All right. I think the biggest news of the week, of course, came out yesterday, and that's about the Arizona Coyotes. I still want to call them the Phoenix Coyotes. It's unbelievable.
I
I
know,
mean,
right?
how many years? It's like the Chargers. At what point do refs on the field still stop calling them the San Diego Chargers?
I know, right? It's gonna be a while. It's still in the future.
It's absolutely. I mean, they could win a Super Bowl in Los Angeles. Wouldn't change anything. I don't think. Anyway, so the Arizona Coyotes in
Which is
a
a fitting name, by the way, because like the Glendale Coyotes, the Phoenix Coyotes, the Tempe
Tempe,
Coyotes.
yeah,
Yeah,
they don't sound great. Why don't we just call them Bettman's Coyotes? Because that's essentially what this all is. As we're
absolutely.
as we're seeing as they go through, yet another. I mean, when was the last time you saw a professional sports team evicted from a building?
I No other
Not in
example
like
comes to mind. Yeah.
Eastern Europe or something like top four sports here. Like no, it just doesn't happen. But it happens to this team, this franchise. Coyotes are in advanced talks with officials at Arizona State University to use its upcoming multi-purpose venue for home games for the next 3 to 4 years, while they work on a planned building proposal in Tempe. Wild story because one, this place isn't even done yet. They'd be playing there next year. Reported 5,000 seat floor plan, but could be reduced down to 3,200 for NHL games due to space reasons and all that kind of stuff. So again, talk about when was the last time a professional sports team in the U.S. in a league of this caliber was evicted? When was the last time you saw one play for 3,200 fans?
It's just mind-boggling. I can't even really wrap my head around what that would look like.
It would look like a major junior game,
Right, with
but
an NHL
smaller.
team, with all of that infrastructure in there too. I mean, you've still got to get the media, you got to get the TV coverage. I just, and this is where I'll talk about kind of the positives and the negatives with this because I certainly have thoughts on this. And one of the reasons I guess I like it is just as a fan of hockey, I like kind of these quirks, these oddities that you'll see in the game every now and then, and just imagining what this is going to look like, what the reality of this would be like. It's just mind blowing to me. Like how much are tickets going to cost? What's the fan atmosphere going to be like? I mean, what do you do with the media? What do you do, with the TV coverage? I mean, just how do you do this?
The TV thing is, I think, the thing that is getting overlooked right now, but I think could
Mhm.
end up being the biggest and most interesting aspect of it all. Because, like, all right, yeah, you're only gonna have like potentially 3,200 fans, whatever. It'll create a really fanatical, loud atmosphere. I think there's a lot of positives, to that, especially for this team. That there were nights they were only drawing 3,200 fans into a big, arena somewhere
I
else.
I don't
Like
think it was ever that low.
they were like, I mean, they're the Oakland A's, dude. Like you could like they're like trying to give away tickets and no one wants them.
No, I understand that. But I just got to look at the actual. No, I just think scale wise at the actual numbers, it's
I
um
guarantee you they've played games in front of 5,000 people.
that sounds about right. I think it gets about that low, but I don't know about 30. Let's see. They averaged last this season they're averaging about 11,500.
All right, but like I said, like those tickets are dirt cheap, and like you can find ways of getting them for free if you really want them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently not that many people do. Uh, and that also means half the games are less than that.
No,
Stuff that like
well,
it's because again it, they're where all the people go when they during winter, all the Canadians, right? Like that was the whole idea
hmm.
of this team being there, is like so many Canadians owned winter places in like Scottsdale and stuff, that it was going to give them a team to go see the Canadian teams come down and play, because that's how you should build
I'm looking at the
franchises.
lowest attendance this season for the Coyotes is 7,865
All
in
right,
November against the Blue Jackets.
yeah,
That's the lowest it's gotten.
yeah, that's amazingly low.
No, I know it is. I know it is. But 3,200.
Yeah, but I would take 3,200 in a in a packed, sold out arena than 7,000 in a giant cavernous arena where it looks like COVID all over again.
Oh no, I think the atmosphere is going to be better in that regard.
And I think if
I'm
you
just saying,
raise the ticket prices because you sell it on this being an intimate experience, they could make more money.
I don't know that the numbers would work out for that. I mean, because you're talking about, I mean, even, and you're talking about at average, because average attendance is then the number you're going to look at, right? Because that's what
Mm-hmm.
they're averaging, what they're getting. So 11,500,
Mm-hmm.
right? For 3,200. I mean, just doing the kind of quick, rough math here, that's like 3.5 times the ticket prices would have to increase over what they are. Do you think they
Right.
could do that?
Well, I mean, 3.5 times $10. Yeah, I think they could do that.
I mean, that's not what they're all selling for, but
No, but you're essentially selling all of the best seats in the house. Like
Mhm.
you're just saying we're not bothering with cheap seats, right? You're like everything is going to be lower bowl seats. They don't sell all those in their current arena, but here you would.
I guess so. I don't know. You have kind of have to run the numbers to see what the math would look like as far as ticket sales, but also the other main revenue driver, like concessions, things like that, you're really gonna lose out on.
Yeah, potentially parking, whatever, all that stuff. I just think, I mean, there has to be a reason that the NHL, like the other teams, seem totally fine with this.
Well, that's okay. That's the downside. That's what I was gonna get at as far as the downside of this, and where I really think this is Gary Bettman going too far. I think passing up on this kind of revenue. I mean, because this is cannot be good for revenue. It just can't. And I know you're right.
Well, no,
You're
certainly compared to moving the team to Quebec or something, like no, this is terrible for revenue. I
right.
think I
But
think surprisingly revenue is probably not going to drop that much just because of everything I said. It'll be a very unique thing. Like I want to go to a game in that atmosphere.
I mean, I would too for sure. But there's only a certain amount of people that can. You're assuming that you're selling out every night, and that is what it is. But just how that caps revenue, and not just for one season as this kind of stopgap to get to an arena being built or whatever, but for 3 to 4 years, the combined revenue that you're passing up on. And this is something that, I mean, sure, whatever, the teams might be okay with this, but I can't imagine the players and the players union looking at this are going to be okay with that. I mean, remember we had Brad Marchand the other week chirping the Hurricanes, basically saying you're the reason that we're still paying so much in escrow. Of course, implying that the Hurricanes, lack of revenue,
Mm-hmm.
is a reason behind the players having to pay so much escrow. And there's certainly some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I heard it. I think it was on Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts talking about how there's this kind of conspiracy theory that's being floated among the players, where the reason the NHL is keeping the Coyotes in Arizona and doing all that they can to do that is because it'll allow them to keep the salary cap down and keep the players still having to pay this escrow to the league. And while I don't think that's true, I think that's probably not true. The fact that this is something that's being kind of thought about by the players, that that's even out there, shows where the players' heads are at, as far as being dissatisfied with the league passing up on sources of potential revenue, which really does hurt the players. And that's one thing. And now you have this where the league, is looking at maybe a 3,200 seat arena. I mean, how's that going to go over with the players? We know this is something that they're concerned about. I don't know how Bettman is hoping to kind of get away with this as far as player and ownership relations. This is going to be really bad for that.
Well, it's going to be bad for that, although I don't see that it could literally be any worse than it's been really for the last 20 years. It's by far and away the most contentious labor ownership, dispute and everything in professional sports. It's been the NHL. They've had numerous work stoppages. It's absolutely terrible. What I find interesting is, and I would totally buy into that as a conspiracy theory, had we not just had last year the national television deals and how disappointing they were and how pissed off the owners were in it.
Hmm.
because ultimately that's, I think the owners care more about the national TV deals than they do about potentially having the salary cap raise, because there is so much more money in those national TV rights deals than there is in potential, salary cap going up a little bit because Arizona's getting 7,000 fans instead of 3,200. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like the difference in money. Owners were furious with how everything broke down, and what the deals with Espin and Turner ended up being. And those TV deals do not get better having Arizona in a situation like this, having one of your franchises in a situation like this. It does not improve that. Talk about, obviously the Canadian national deals are much better than the American ones for obvious reasons. But again, you throw another team into Quebec, what does that do to that national TV deal up there? It's massive. It's huge. It's a revenue sharing league, as you said. Arizona goes from being a team that makes money to, losing money to making money. That's huge for everyone else involved. They would all rather prefer that than they would, uh, you know, sign up for this conspiracy of, yes, let's keep this one franchise in this terrible situation so that we don't have to have a salary cap of 100 million a year. Like, I just don't buy that because they're losing out literally on billions.
Right, and that's why I don't buy into the conspiracy. I said I don't believe that that's true, but it's again,
But then,
it
but
shows what the player's thinking is.
right, that shows what the players' thinking is. But what's confusing to me, and why I think that there's more going on behind the scenes, and why the money must not be that big a deal for this situation, the difference in what Coyotes are going to be making in this small arena versus what they're making now, is that the other NHL teams see them on board with it.
Right. I mean, that's and yeah, maybe there is something that they've kind of been told about. Look, this is what it's going to project to be, and it's going to be all right. But this is certainly a situation where Bettman's going to have to deal with the optics of it
Well, yeah,
because,
but I mean, he's Gary Bettman. He just lets
yeah,
everybody hate him. That's him dealing with the optics. It's worked out great for him.
you make a good point.
He made it his brand. So I just think that there is something. There's obviously more behind the scenes that we don't know about, that nobody knows about, and that potentially we will never know about. But it would not surprise me if that there is a stash of money, and there is, certainly revenue forecasts that look a lot healthier than it would seem at first glance, to get the other teams on board. Because again, I get like Montreal having a problem, or Toronto if you talk about moving a new team to Hamilton or something. But I cannot imagine that, you wouldn't have 25 other clubs being like, yes, let's do that, let's get rid of this Coyotes franchise, let's move them someplace profitable. And that way I don't feel like I'm, subsidizing this mistake of yours, Mr. Bettman, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to how much just Cloudy has. Like, all right, need to let me have this one mistake. Like, they are moving over my dead body. I don't care what else you want. I'll do whatever else you want. But the Coyotes stay in Arizona.
And you know what? He's earned it. He has destroyed the players' unions time and time again in collective bargaining, all that stuff. He has made sure to protect those owners. He has earned the right, I guess, to do this. But I mean, think about it. Things worked out, to bring up the Chargers again for the second time. Who would have thought? Things worked out okay when they were, at what was then StubHub for those
Hmm.
couple of years. Like it ended up working out just fine for them. It created an interesting, more intimate atmosphere that people really, really enjoyed. Like, because
Yeah,
it is different.
it did work out, even though a lot of those fans were away fans. I don't think the Coyotes are going to have that problem, but it's just a different order of magnitude, and I think that's what people are kind of missing as far as StubHub wasn't, a third, a quarter of the size of what the other stadium was going to be.
Well, let me see. Let me see what SoFi is, because StubHub was 27,000. So if
Right, right. I know.
and SoFi holds 70, so it was about a third.
What was the other one? What
StubHub
was?
was 27,000. SoFi right now, where the Chargers play, is a little over 70.
Well, not quite a third,
Not
but
quite, but pretty close to a third.
I mean, you're looking at a quarter though, as far as if it's 3,200 is the number,
Right,
but
but you're also talking
oh
about
no, actually it's capacity. No, capacity because like what's I keep wanting to call it jobbing.com arena. What Gila River? What is it?
yeah, yeah, that's what it is.
um, because I mean their
Well, yeah,
capacity 18,000. And
right.
you're looking at 3,000 versus
Right,
eight.
but if
That's
they're
you know,
but
a
if you're never
six.
right, but if you're never selling out 18,000, it doesn't matter. Like you can't use that as a reference.
Mm.
The NFL sells out everywhere all the time, so you can use the capacity as a reference there. You can't use it for the Arizona Coyotes. What's going to be wild is they could literally increase those ticket prices 2 to 3 times, and I guarantee you'll still have people from like Toronto. It'll be cheaper for them to fly to Arizona, pay that higher ticket price, and see their team in a seat that they could never afford at Air Canada Center.
I mean, it would be interesting to see the math on that.
I bet you it comes out at least pretty comparable. Only you get a nice vacation in Arizona to boot.
Yeah, no, I mean like we know that fans of Canadian markets will do this,
Right, because it's that
compared
much
to.
cheaper.
I mean, we've even seen, covering the Kraken, we've seen Kraken fans, at least for the inaugural season, do that. Just plan a road trip out to, whether it's Arizona or, Nashville, wherever it
Mm-hmm.
is, to go to a road game because it is cheaper with the flights and everything all told.
Right.
Um,
So think if you can
so
sell that premium experience of you're going to be 50 feet at most from your team.
yeah, no, that
Like
it's
that's
just going to be
that's
a
an
good experience.
insane selling point. You can charge a lot for that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the prices end up being. I'm
Because
I'm
we
trying
know
to
you can
find
charge a lot for that because every team already does for those seats.
right.
Because you're talking the lower half of a lower bowl in any arena. Think of how much tickets cost for that. It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what Coyote season tickets cost right now.
Well, that's the
Um,
other thing is what if they don't have season tickets to offset the cost?
what do you mean?
Because season tickets, right? Obviously, you're getting a bulk discount because you're buying a whole season's worth.
Uh-huh.
What if they do away with that, knowing, look, we only need 3,200. We've only got 3,200 seats. We'll make more money per game selling those at full face value. We don't anticipate worrying about selling them.
Huh. That would be interesting because I mean, obviously, with a larger arena, you kind of want that. You're willing to give the bulk discount because you just need to sell what you can.
Right.
And that's why season tickets are so important. But in this situation, yeah, maybe it does make sense to take a different approach. I mean, this would be a really cool case study for, this is some kind of sports business program or whatever you want to look at it. Um, to really see, okay, what's the best way to approach this? It's something we really haven't seen
Right.
in professional sports, nothing quite like it.
Right.
So
Because
yeah, I mean,
yeah, I mean, I got to imagine if you said, all right, if it's the Kraken at Climate Pledge or any team anywhere in any sport, all right, lower half of the lower bowl, no more season tickets can be bought there. Those are just being sold at face value.
hmm.
They're going to make more money doing that. Now, it's harder in a situation like that because fans have other avenues. They can just go purchase season tickets somewhere else and get a cheaper seat and all that stuff. But here, you don't have that the fans, the consumer doesn't have that threat to back it up. It's then you just don't go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the only thing, or just because you obviously want to keep your season ticket holders happy. The current season ticket holders and everyone there. You want to give them some kind of avenue. I mean, maybe
Yes,
they can
there
get
are
first
dozens
party
of
to
them.
purchase tickets.
Dozens.
I know. As much as we make fun of, they do have season ticket
Yeah,
holders. Um, but yeah, I mean, just kind of do it like, hey, while we're here, we're doing away with this. We'll give you priority to purchase the
right.
tickets that are there.
Or you can
I
do
wonder how many season ticket holders they have.
right because you can do 10 game package things too. Like you can do the
Uh-huh.
mini plans without doing a full season. But you're talking about 41 games in the most intimate environment in all of sports. That's a hell of a selling point in a place that's not bad to visit. Like it's not like it's this like hey, come visit us in Lawrence, Kansas, or something. No offense to anybody from Lawrence, Kansas, but it's you know what I mean. Like it is a fairly well used vacation destination, certainly for people north of the border. I think that there's a lot of opportunity here, and that's what I'm saying. I really think that they have crunched the numbers on this. They've found that it can work, and that's why all the teams are on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right. You definitely brought up some things I hadn't thought about before we started recording this. So
Yeah,
it'll be really, really interesting to see what they do with this.
for sure. Last thing I want to talk about though is the TV thing. I brought that up earlier.
Hmm.
What the hell are you going to do TV camera wise? Because the angles on this thing are going to be god awful.
They're going to be terrible. I do not know what you're going to do. They're going to have to build some kind of specialized platform, something, and maybe that's what goes into one of the things that goes into reducing the capacity there for the attendance is because you're going to have to do some kind of specialized thing for TV.
I would I don't know that that'll go into adjusting what the capacity is because I would build it up top, and I would almost try to give it more of a top down angle. The camera,
Hmm.
I'd build something out up as high as possible because right now you're gonna have to use such a wide angle lens to get just a normal ish looking shot that will never look normal because now you're using a wide angle lens. Like it's
Right.
going to look bad. Like there's no way around that. Sports only looks good when you have the camera far away and you zoom in. Or at least that's maybe that's not the best way to do it. It's just the way everybody's already set up and so that's the way it's always been. And so anything different just looks bad. But I mean, there are already some NHL arenas that kind of have different camera setups, and it's kind of janky and not great.
It is. And I mean, just how about go with the ESPN thing? Just put a little camera in the end boards and just do the whole game from there.
Yeah, like I just don't know what you're really looking at as far as that. I think the TV viewing experience is going to be less than ideal. Not that it
That's another
matters too
thing.
much, because
Yeah.
who's really watching those games at home?
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing where, whoever is in charge of figuring out how to broadcast these games is going to have a really kind of cool creative exercise here, just much like the ticketing people. It's just going to be a great kind of case study for a lot of things in sports. And one more thing I did want to talk about with this is I think this is going to be great for ASU. And that's
Oh
another reason
yeah,
I like this. It's going to be great. I know they can't have any kind of explicit financial benefit from this because of NCAA regulations from the Coyotes, but they are going to benefit so much from having the Coyotes around in their facility. You know, and they're just such a great hockey program anyway. I mean, it's really amazing what they've done to build this, up to a D1 program. You've got alumni in the NHL now, like Joey Decord,
mm-hmm.
on the Kraken. You've got, an alumnus going to the Olympics now, for playing for Team China. It's just amazing what they've done with it in such a short period of time to get that program to D1 and really toward the top of college hockey.
Right, and this is going to do nothing but highlight that and feature it. And it's, they've done a fantastic job, but it makes you wonder why more schools haven't also. Like,
It
it's
shows what you can do.
possible.
Put in the resources, put in the
Hmm.
effort, and just admit, like, yeah, we're gonna be, a real top D1 program.
Right, it's
Don't need
incredible.
the ice. Do it anywhere.
Right, it's incredible what you do, what human beings can do if they try. Um, it's so Bettman, maybe try something. I guess they're trying
Oh, he's
this.
been right. It's amazing how long he can keep that franchise in Arizona when he tries.
I guess so.